Welcome to the Questions Asked podcast. In this podcast episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with Andrea Pavin Scott, whose insights into ADHD and coaching left a lasting impression on me. Through her personal journey and deep curiosity, Andrea has developed a remarkable expertise in helping adults with ADHD navigate their challenges and find success. This podcast is filled with valuable tips and strategies, simple yet effective approaches to productivity, organization, and maybe more important, self-compassion. I hope today's story will serve as a reminder that with the right support and mindset, achieving one's dream is truly within everyone's reach. Welcome. Today on our podcast, we are thrilled to welcome Andrea Pavin Scott. I do hope that I say your name correctly. You are originally from Brazil and now a UK resident for over the past 20 years. Andrea recently transitioned from a successful 25-year career in corporate marketing and sales, and now is ready to fully embrace her passion for coaching. I'm so excited about that. With 15 years of experience, Andrea has not only coached colleagues, friends, and friends of friends, but has also been on a personal journey with ADHD, and we'll focus a lot on that today. Her unique perspective, blending personal insights with professional expertise, shines a light on how coaching can support others with ADHD to thrive and achieve their dreams. So I'm very excited to learn more about you and about your story. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I apologize for my voice. I have a cold. So I have a bit of a sexy voice today.
And I'm not sure if many people know this, but in a very, very distant past, I used to work with young adults and children with all sorts of special needs, and ADHD was one of them. So I do know a little bit about it, but I'm very much interested in the perspective of the coaching technique and professionals and adults in general that want to tackle their dreams in a way while still having ADHD. So where do you like to start?
Yeah, so it's an interesting journey because some people, they are diagnosed very young in life at school. They tend to identify ADHD in a hyper type of children and not as much as the inattentive type of children, which are the ones that, are always dreaming, looking at the window and, in the clouds. That was more my case.
Okay.
So I'm not the hyper type and I am more the inattentive type. But my diagnosis came much, much later in life. I have always been that person, that it is late for parties, that is all over the place, that lose key, lose, credit card, lose passport, that lock myself outside of the car, forget the key. So that has always been me. But I just thought it was my personality and I just took life, like this. Once I got married, and actually in less than 3 years, I got married. I had a child, I adopted a dog, and I bought a house. So from living on my own, having a full-time job, now I am responsible for lots of beings and things. So that was very overwhelming, very overwhelming in terms of keep up with things, keep up with life. And that's when I went to the doctors and I said, I think I have ADHD. He said, I don't think you do. It was an interesting conversation because he said, do you have a permanent job? I said, yes. Are you in a stable relationship? I said, yes. Did you finish your studies? I said, yes. So you don't have ADHD. I know. So that was a shock. And I thought, okay, I know that I need to look for another professional. And that is a first challenge, I think, for people with ADHD is to find a professional that understands the condition. So I went through the route of doing my diagnosis with a psychiatrist. And then I start learning and studying the condition. In parallel, what is interesting is that I have always been passionate about coaching. That was a personal passion. And then I found out I have ADHD. And then I understood how coaching could help ADHDers so much and why. So, that's when the journey all started.
Oh, wow. So the description, Andrea, that you gave me I mean, maybe I have ADHD because I also shut myself outside of my house at least once every 2 weeks. And I understand that feeling of overwhelm. How would you describe, the difference between a normal, I don't know, chaotic person like myself and someone who really has an issue with ADHD or without the hyperactivity? I think it's called ADD. Is that correct?
ADD is no longer used. So ADD
Oh,
was just how they call the inattentive type of ADHD. So it was attention deficit disorder. And now they call everyone ADHD. And then you have types of ADHD. But I just want to do a disclaimer that I'm not a doctor. I'm not, and I'm not in the medical field. I just have my experience with ADHD, and I'm quite proud of everything that I've learned and achieved. But that's the only, reference that I have. So everybody goes through, stressful times, and everybody has their own personality types. What makes a condition, as far as I understand and as far as I was explained, is that the frequency that these things happen to you. How often do you get late? Do you miss an appointment? Do you miss your doctor's appointment? How often do you miss your flights? How often? So if that is a constant thing in your life that causes you damage in your quality of life, in the point that you feel your self-esteem is really, really low, or you don't feel like you're capable of holding a job or having a family, or, like, that's when, the condition really needs to be looked into, because everybody will have phases in their lives where things like this happens. But I also say that when I say about ADHD coaching, I also refer to coaching to people that are going through those phases, because if you're a young mom that just had a baby, your hormones are all over the place. You have too much to think about. It's very similar symptoms, women in menopause. So, that is a phase that I experienced, ADHD and menopause together. It's quite, a bomb for your brain. So women that is going through menopause is very similar as well. And in general, like, stressful situations could have similar type of symptoms, but ADHD is something that will go with you your whole life, from when you're born until you die.
Oh, wow. And so eventually you got someone to tell you like, hey, Andrea, don't worry, this is normal. You suffer from ADHD. There are ways to live with it. How did that change your perspective on who you are and the identity that
Oh,
you carry with you?
oh my God, it's like night and day, it's like from this conversation with the diagnose, it was like, now I know I'm not crazy. Now I know I'm not broken. Now I know I'm not useless or, rubbish. And all those negative talking, that has been in my brain my whole life, is like, now I understand. My brain is just different. I always knew I was clever, but I didn't understand, why am I clever to understand something complex and do well in a test? And I'm not clever enough, to get to a party on time. You know, how come, that comes up? So yeah, so the diagnose gave me this acceptance and also gave me tools. So then I could study the condition and really understand, what strategies do I need to put in place? What? And it's so interesting, because most people look for diagnosis for the medication. And many people think, oh, I'm going to take medication and everything will be fixed. It's so not the case. Medication does help a little bit with a few things, but at least in my case, but it's really the awareness and the education and, the strategies that you put in your life that helps. And coaching is a massive one.
And apart from coaching, what other strategies that you put in your life before we dive into the whole coaching tool?
Well, first of all, the less things you own and you need to manipulate in your life, in your house, the better it is. So if you like the idea of being a minimalist, that's amazing. But if you don't want to be a minimalist, at least you should reduce a lot the amount of things you have in your life, because the less amount of decisions you need to make, the better. when you have ADHD and some of the other conditions, you have an amount of energy per day, and you really need to choose how you spend that energy. So if you have to decide for 30 minutes what you're going to wear that day, that's a big amount of energy that you have used for something that you don't have to. Also looking for things that you lost, trying to find information about the appointment, where you need to go. So the less things you have in your life, the better it is. So I would always recommend that you declutter your house, declutter your calendar, declutter your relationships, have less and more important things. It's easier.
That reminds me of Steve Jobs always wearing the same type of T-shirt, just not having to make that decision, because he would, eventually at the end of the day have literal decision fatigue. Is that a little bit what you're describing?
100%.
And that works also for relationship and stuff at the house.
Yes. Chores was a big thing for me, because this struggle came up when I got married and had a child. So how can you cook and wash your clothes and look after the baby and, take the dog for a walk and all that? Of course, that my husband is extremely helpful, and he is so good at sharing everything. We do work as partners, but my half of the thing, I was struggling, and I think, how am I going to do all this? So simplifying things is massive.
All right. Okay. So I'm sorry. We just totally got caught up by technology. But it seems that we're still rolling. So that's really awesome. I'm sorry about that. It's my PC, not yours.
My life is like this. So for me, business as usual.
So this is my PC having ADHD, saying like, I can't take any more decisions. I've got too much stuff open.
Exactly.
Lovely. So that reminds me to just, close down some stuff on my PC. Maybe that will help as well. And so, okay. So declutter. I would say, if I'm listening to you, also prioritize only the things that have highest value for you, so that it doesn't drain you as much as possible. Is that a little bit what you're saying?
Yes. And also simplifying things in a way like, if you put makeup on every day, just keep at hand in a little box the things that you need every day, leave everything else that you wear, like in parties or, that thing needs to be there in front of you, in your mirror, in your best position, in your storage, in your bathroom, little things like this that, or your lipstick. My lipstick is by the door, is not with the rest of my makeup, because if I put the makeup on, come downstairs, do breakfast, and then by the time I leave, that's when I need the lipstick, and then it's by the door. Little things like leave things where they are used and don't complicate. Other things is to understand that how many times I try to organize my documents in a file, of alphabetical order, color coordinated. That's not me. I have a box today that I put important documents. It's a box, no order, no nothing. It's easy to put that in. If I need a document, I know it's there. I will spend 5 minutes looking for the document, but it's there. But it's not everywhere in the house anymore, So there are so many tools. Body doubling is another one. I work really well if I'm doing some work that is not exciting, because that's the thing about ADHD, is a dysregulation of dopamine. So if I'm very interested in something, I completely focus on that thing. It's a deep hypofocus, they call. It's, nobody will snap me out unless they really come and poke me, I'm there. If I'm doing something that is not that exciting, then I really struggle to focus. If I am doing that thing next to someone else, even if that someone else is doing something else, it keeps me focused for longer. So I kind of combine things, like my son is playing video game, I fold the laundry next to him, or working from the office, it's more productive than working from home. So one thing that helps professionals is that the days you work from home, do all your calls. The day you are in the office, do the heads down type of work. You sit next to your colleague and then you say, oh, by the way, I'm going to start that thing. And then you do it because you have commitment with someone else that is sitting next to you. That helps you to focus. So, little things like this makes a massive difference in your productivity.
So I think it's easy to make that bridge towards coaching as you creating little structures for yourself and accountability partners, even if they don't even know that you have, made them your accountability partners in a way. So how do you see that? How does coaching then come in as an effective tool for people with ADHD?
Well, one of the way people describe their minds when they have ADHD is that it's too noisy. It's too busy. There's too many thoughts at the same time. So first of all, by having a commitment to talk to someone once a week or every 2 weeks, it's your space to just unload, which I think anyone that is stressful nowadays can relate to. But, it's not like every day you should do meditation. It's very difficult for ADHDers to do meditation because it's too much in their heads. So having that space that it's safe, that you talk to someone that you trust, and you can just, unload everything that is worrying you. That's massive. That's number one. Number two, when you have an object, I would say number two is confidence. So you tend to think that you're not capable of focusing and finishing a task yourself because you failed so many times in your life. So when you work with someone else, you have that accountability that will make all the difference. Someone that is going to be asked, so what's the second step? What have you done last week? What are you going to do next week? Oh, I'm going to talk to that person tomorrow. So maybe I'd rather, do something before I meet that person. So the accountability, massively important. And then you have also the clarity, the clarity of what do I want to do? What is it important? What does it work for me? Self-awareness. Because we tend to compare ourselves to neurotypical people, that can do the filing in alphabetical order and can keep that. And we work differently. So knowing that your brain is different and you're going to find solutions that suits you, that is so freeing that unless, you really experience that, you don't know how much it can help you. So that is another benefit. And of course, achieving something, finishing something, starting a project requires some executive function and finishing the project as well, because sometimes you need that novelty to keep you going. Once the project is halfway through, it's not new anymore. And I don't really want to do that last 30%. But then when you're working with someone else, not only they remind you of how does it feel to finish that, but also you achieve, and that is massive for your self-esteem.
So would you like advise have a weekly chat with a coach or someone that's constantly behind you? Because ADHD is not going to go away. It's not remedial. There's no remedial coaching. It's more like a support body in a way. Is that a little bit what you're alluding to?
Yeah, I think there are two things. There is the people that is really overwhelmed, never did coaching, just new to the diagnose. You need really to move into another phase of life. You need to deal with the bulk of things that you accumulated. I'm talking about an adult. But even like if you were diagnosed as a child, but you never really, try to understand how your brain works, you really need to first declutter everything. And once you are in that phase, so I'm glad to say that now I am moved to the other phase. So some things are already automatic, some not automatic, a system, are part of a system, So some things I know how it works and when it works. So if I keep that rolling like a machine, that's brilliant. But then I have a new project now. So now I'm just finishing my corporate journey. And I'm going to start a new phase, which I don't know yet what it's going to be, but it's definitely going to include coaching in it. And having coaching now would be very useful because would help me to complete that process. So there is these two situations. One is you are too overwhelmed. You need to open space in your life to be productive, to breathe, to make sure that the essential is done in a way that is not killing you. So, house is progressing, work is progressing, relationship with your kids is progressing. That's one. Another one is like new phases, new projects, what would make a massive difference? What's your dream? You want to do a trip of a lifetime, how do you plan that? So, so I would say that there are two different situations where we can find people.
And in your story, now that you, as you say, you've moved away from a corporate assignment and now you're moving into something completely new, how does that then not become an overwhelming dark pit of anxiety for you? I mean, I can totally see it happen. Like, okay, now what? I have a dream, but how do I get there? And what do I know about this dream? And what's it going to be? And I've got so many options.
Yes. Well, there are a few things. One, I am more aware of my value, my skills, my achievements. So I know that I can do it, It's scary, yes. It could take time, yes. But also all the support that I have around me. So all the training that I'm doing with your school, is like giving me the confidence to do it, give me the knowledge to do it, giving me the space to practice what I need to practice. Having, friends that I can discuss my dreams and, all the support. And also I know that my housework is working well. It's difficult to think about a new job or a new career when you have so many things around you in the house, and you can't even find your clothes, to get changed in the morning. So by having this base, of course, my husband is very supportive. Also, something very important is to really educate the people that you live with. My husband knew nothing about ADHD when we both got to that discovery journey. And now he understands. And that makes a massive difference, not only for me to have a support, but also for him, to know what to expect and what not to expect. I have a funny story that actually it was not funny at that time, but there was a phase that I was leaving my key outside of the door very often. And that was really, really, yes, during the night. I know. And he was like, oh my God, that is so serious. We can't live like this. Can you please not forget the key outside of the door anymore? And I said, I can't promise you that, because I don't leave the key because I want to. I leave the key because I forget there. So one way we found to resolve this, so we stop the fights. Now he checks the door every day before he goes to bed.
Simple solution.
So of course that I am more aware, and I've been doing that much less. Actually, I haven't done for a long time. But, if that is something that bothers him, then he does it. And we resolve the same things with some of the more administrative tasks, that I find difficult to deal with, read manuals and guidelines and things like that. So he does the mortgage and, all that stuff that I find overwhelming. So yeah, he keeps my passport when we go traveling, because before we were together, I had lots and lots of weird, funny traveling stories. And now people say that I'm just so boring because I don't have those stories anymore. I don't lose passport. I don't go to the airport the wrong day or go to the wrong hotel and things like that.
I have to share, because what you're saying, it happens to me all the time, and I have offloaded so many things to my husband. Going, I don't have the mind space for that. It could be that I'm just busy. It can be that there's something else going on, but he's the one take care of my passports when we're traveling, and he has everything, and I literally just grab my bag and go like, do you have thing.
Yeah.
It does ring a bell. It can be just me that I'm just completely not responsible, but
Yeah.
maybe there's something else going on. You're teaching me something, Andrea.
Yeah. But it's these little things, that change so much. I used to go to the supermarket and get so overwhelmed that I would never buy everything I had to, and I would buy more things I didn't have to. So now I do everything online because I have a list. I go there, there is no distractions, it's done. And, so if you think about priorities first, what overwhelms you the most? Let's start with that. What causes the most fights in the house? Let's start with that. What makes you feel useless the most? Let's prioritize those things. And then everything else is, just falls in place.
So would those be the first questions you'd ask someone that comes for you for your help?
Definitely. I think.
And what else would you propose then? That sounds like a good start.
Yes, I think that they need to know a bit about themselves as well. Like some people are more hyper, some people are, more chilled, and, what's your personality like? So if you really want to do exercise, what's the best type for you to do that? What's the best energy of your day? Remember that if you use all your energy and you don't have energy left, you will not do your exercises. So I think self-awareness is massive. And then I would definitely ask, what bothers you the most? What are the things that causes more conflict in the house with your family, with your partner, and then go from there.
Wow. And so far, Andrea, have you been coaching people with ADHD yourself? The friends of the friends?
Yes. So I think I'm a bit of a magnet for those. Somehow people with ADHD, comes to my life all the time. And it's so interesting because, by me telling them that I have ADHD and these are the symptoms, sometimes they say, maybe I do have it. And then we can work. I think with the ADHD coaching, it's important that you know someone that knows the condition. And it's someone that can share a little bit of their own experience. Because, when you test the things that work, or at least is aware of tools that can be used, I think it helps the coachee, to understand that there are things, instead of them trying to find out everything by themselves. So there are techniques that are known, there are methods that are known. There is one of the methods that, organization method that I use that helped me a lot. Maybe not be, everybody's cup of tea, but for me, it was like really massive in my journey. So, yeah.
Yeah, would you like to explain a little bit what that tool is?
Yes, so actually it is a website called Organize 365, and it's an American lady called Lisa, and she's the founder, and she has lots of tools to help us to get organized. That's for everyone. It's not only for ADHD. But she is a teacher. She has kids with ADHD, and she understands the condition. And every now and then, she mentions, like if you have ADHD, that would be really, really helpful. And she has programs, for you to organize your house or organize paper. And that is something that did help me a lot. But, there are so many good websites or YouTube channels, or, as long as you are open to learn and find the type of person or the teacher that you want to find, I think you are on the way. But I still think that if you leave this only for yourself, it has a limitation of how far you're going to go on your own. If you work with a coach, it will take you much, much further.
And so it sounds like the road to success is lined with people cheering you on. having like this village or community that, that's behind you, rooting for you in a way. And you did it yourself by attracting lots of people as well. And so what have you learned from connecting with people with ADHD so far? What is something that you've learned about yourself maybe, or about others?
Yeah, about others, something interesting. So you are going to face people that say that either ADHD is not a thing, or they are going to say that everybody is a little bit ADHD. So these are things that you will hear all the time, and that's fine. That's the knowledge that the person has, and I totally respect. But if you face things like that, don't take personally. It's their journey, it's their knowledge. If you, for example, at work, let's say that you have a boss that it has never been my case. Thank God I have amazing bosses, really, really open-minded. But if you have a boss that is, you think he's not going to understand that, you don't need to say you have ADHD. You need to say that you get distracted really, really easily, or that you thrive in teamwork. That you produce much better results when you do something, a project with someone else, or like there are ways that you can explain to the person that you need, that you need support, and it's because you get distracted really easily, or because you really struggle reading, and it would help a lot if you have in your computer a tool that reads for you, the text, and then you can read and listen to the text at the same time. That keeps your attention for longer. So, if you talk to the person explaining the symptoms, you don't need to put the label in it. But if you can, I always choose to advocate for ADHD, because I think the more people we educate, the better it is. So if I have the chance, I always say, I always explain, and I think that helps, everyone.
Yeah, I remember you coming to class saying, "Hi, I'm Andrea. I have ADHD, and this is why I'm so very organized now." I'm like, "Oh, wow, that sounds like a nice contradiction in itself, but it's true. You're very organized. You've got everything nicely put in boxes and cleaned up. And as I look at your background, it's just there's just one plant. That's it.
Minimalist,
It's
yes.
minimalistic.
I
Yeah.
like the less things around me, the best it is.
And so, as every person with ADHD, do we all have the same struggles and challenges, or are you surprised still at times when you're coaching someone?
No, I find that, in general, executive function is what is affected when you have ADHD, but some people would have better memory than others. Some people would be more organized than others. It also depends on what you like, because if you like cooking, that will produce dopamine, and that you have no problem cooking, you enjoy. So that is like a relaxation type of thing. If you don't like cooking like me, it's really a chore. So it's really difficult for me, to focus to make food. I don't even say cooking, I prepare food.
Yeah, cooking is a chore.
Yes, that's more my style. So people will differ in the way that these symptoms come to them. Some people have no problem reading, but they can't listen to audiobooks. I cannot read. So everything I listen in audiobooks. So it's really about knowing where is it that you are struggling the most, and then work with that. So it is definitely different.
So it sounds like if you have ADHD, definitely find yourself a coach. And we usually sometimes say with coaching, you don't have to be the expert on what's going on with someone to be able to be a good, effective coach. But I'm also hearing that in this case, it's really helpful because you know where to start digging and exploring with your client because you have ADHD yourself, or you have really, been diving into what it means to have ADHD.
Yes, but I also find very important that, to get the diagnosis, you need a psychiatrist. And to decide if you want to try medication, you also need a psychiatrist. So that's the professional that is going to give you the diagnosis and the medication if you want to. There is this saying in the ADHD world that says pills don't teach skills. And that's very true. So medication is not going to fix you. If you take a medication to have a longer focus and you sit in front of YouTube instead of doing the dishes, you're going to be very focused on YouTube, So it's not, medication is really one part of the treatment. So psychiatrists, to really discuss medication and get diagnosed. Therapy, if you really feel like you have lots of scars that were, building up with, you were told many times in your life, that you were too slow or you were too stupid or, you didn't get it or why you can't finish, why can't you sit still? So sometimes this affected your self-esteem in such an extent that you don't trust your ability to do things. And I have a therapist myself. She's amazing. And she believes that for ADHD, working in parallel with therapy and coach, that's like the best thing you can do to yourself. Because at the same time, you are treating your scars and looking back and really understanding that it's not your fault, that it is not, you're not less than anyone else. You also have a coach that is going to help you like with the practical things. Come on, let's do it. Is that what you want to do? Let's do it. Let me hold your hand and let's do this together. And I know you struggle here, so let's try that. Maybe that doesn't work. So let's do something else. So I think this combination of treatment is very important. So the therapy, the coaching, and then the medication if you want to. But, there are other things that can regulate your dopamine, like exercises in the morning, like not eating too much sugar. Everything that is healthy habit will also make your brain sharper. So, yeah, that is worth investing
That's good
in.
advice. Well, thanks, Andrea. And so I was just while you were talking, I was thinking about a friend of mine who has a young daughter who may not be diagnosed in the next coming weeks. And what would you say to the parents? How would this be helpful for them?
Oh man, I think the first thing is really to accept who the person is. I think us parents, we tend to want our kids to do or behave or think or feel in certain ways, but they are a person, they are an individual. They have their own personalities, their own preferences. And the first thing is to respect that, then to educate. I have seen parents that don't want to diagnose their children because they are scared of the label. And I wish I was diagnosed as a child. I wish I didn't spend, my 20s and 30s thinking that I was less than I am. I wish I knew what my way of doing things would be at that time, So I would suggest that, first, you're not scared of the diagnosis. That is really a freedom, and it's an education starting point for the whole family. And then play with it, now that you know, right? So is the person very hyper? Then go for a walk and a run before you do the homework, instead of giving them a cake, and then give the sugar rush and then sit to do the homework. That child is never going to focus, so what are the things that you can do to prepare the environment? And that child as well will need structure provided by the parents. And of course that you want your child to be independent, but they will need more of you, to make sure that the structure is provided and is sustained until that becomes a habit of theirs. So that thing about go upstairs, brush your teeth, have a shower and then go to bed and don't come back here.
That's too much.
It's not going to happen, So you need to really.
So it's one task, one thing at a time, come back. and next step until they're ready to string things together in a way as an adult. And then
Yes,
still,
if you need to put, alarms on Alexa, if you need to give your child, a smartphone, so a smartphone will beep saying it's time to brush your teeth. If you have to, say, if you do those habits in a week, then maybe you get, something, as it's not a bribe, but it's more like a award. These are tools. Of course, it depends on, parents, the way that they want to bring their kids and their values. And that's very personal, individual. But, how can you provide to your child the structure that they need and slowly help them to build those habits? Because what I find very, very common is that, once while we are with our parents at home, life is okay. We do the homework every day. We have a shower every day. And then we leave the house to go to university. And then the world is too overwhelming. Like, oh my God, how am I going to make this decision now? I don't have a meal plan. I don't know what to wear. When should I do my laundry? Oh my God, I don't have what to wear. Like I forgot about that test. How do I use a calendar? How do I unload my brain? So it's preparing these young adults when they have ADHD is massive.
And how would that work with say groups of people, especially when I'm thinking about young adults? They like being in a group context. Would that be something that might be an interesting approach to work with young adults with a specialized group coaching situation?
Yes, group coaching is really, really helpful for ADHDers because few reasons. One, you still have the same accountability. So you're going to go once a week to see those people and, that makes you move on with your tasks. Second, you hear from other people that you are not alone, that you are not the only person, that is struggling to read that book that is so boring, or that is not getting to the classes on time, or that you're not, the fact that that there are other people that struggles with the same, that makes so much to your self-esteem that it's amazing. So that's another benefit. And a third one, I would say that it's one thing about ADHD that I'm very proud of is that we are very creative and we are excellent problem solvers because we create problems all the time and we have to fix them all the time, So when someone is with me and they say, oh my God, I lost my card, that's fine. Let's just block this card in the bank and let's order another one. No big deal, or, oh my God.
Right. You've done it so many times.
It's fine, Oh my God, I'm going to get late for that appointment. Okay, so let's just call them. If they are okay to wait for 10 minutes, that's fine. If they're not, you rearrange to another time, So we are excellent problem solvers and we normally are quite calm, to resolve those things. And when you are in a group and someone brings a challenge, like I really would like to do that and I don't know how to do, there are lots of other creative minds there that can give out of the box ideas, So, and why not, to hear some of these ideas from people that have similar brains than yours. So I think it's an excellent tool.
And it may actually be a superpower in the way you describe it.
Yeah, there is this discussion, and there is people that think that it is a superpower or an advantage to have ADHD. Some people don't agree. My point of view is that if I could choose not to have, I would not, because my life would be much easier. But I also understand that when you struggle with something, you learn, you get stronger, at how to resolve those challenges. So it's definitely something that develops in you, just to have this mind that, there's a problem, let's resolve it. It's okay.
Oh, so I'm from our conversation, what's coming for me is that a person with ADHD, you're not broken. It's not. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just a little bit different. And for each person, it's a different experience. So there's no cookie cutter. There are, of course, similarities, but there's no cookie cutter. This is ADHD. This is the way you'll function. And coaching would be helpful to carve out that manual for yourself. How do I best operate in this very clunky world that's surrounding me? A very forward-focused movement for coaching, in a way. We can have therapy for the scars that build up, as you so beautifully put it, and coaching will help you to build your surroundings to
Muscles.
make you successful in life the way you want to. Yeah, you build these muscles. It sounds like fun to do. Brilliant. And um, is there maybe to make people feel excited about working with a coach? Is there a particular success story that you can share with me
Oh man,
apart from your own?
yeah. So that so many things that coaching can help you with. But I think the main thing is really to have a space, to have a space where you're not ashamed, you are not, you don't feel like you're less. And then you can laugh at yourself. I laugh at myself all the time. Sometimes I talk to my son and I say, "You can't believe what I've done today." Just finished the call with the whole team, and I said, "Merry Christmas" instead of "Happy Easter," and he think it's hilarious. "Oh, Mom, you're so funny," and I said, "I know. Can you believe I just did that?" And little things like that. It's okay. It's okay that you are the distracted one, the one that is going to get late to the party, and it's fine. Yeah. Oh, you're muted, I think.
Oh, I am. I unmuted myself. How did it happen? All right. I must have done something very, very out of my mind. I bet maybe an interesting question would be for people like me who are coaches, and I don't have massive amounts of experience with people with adults, mostly with ADHD. Um, and imagine I have a client that says, "Look, I have ADHD, and I want to be able to manage my life better." What would your advice be for professional coaches that take on clients that struggle with ADHD, medication, getting their lives together? What would be the first thing that you want us to do?
I think a little bit of knowledge would go a long way. You don't need to know everything about it, but know what is executive functions. What are the main type of executive functions that an ADHD person would have, which is normally related to time blindness. So we don't have a good sense of time.
Okay.
Difficulty to start something difficult, not something exciting, but something difficult. Difficult to finish a product that lost, novelty. So if you're a coach and you know that the person is like, okay, so we're halfway through this and I don't know, maybe I should choose something else. Remind them why they started in the first place. Remind them that they are not alone. Try to involve them in a way that, you guys are together. And if you go together, you can finish that. That is going to make going to have a massive result in their self-esteem. So, if you are a coach and you are aware of where, the problems happen, I think you have more tools to help. So if you have a little bit of knowledge, that's amazing. Of course, you don't need to know much. But the other thing I would say is don't judge, and I know that that's probably the first thing that the coach should not do. But yet that person is going to struggle more than you in lots of things and in a ways that you can't understand because you cannot be inside of their brain. So trust that if they are saying, "I said I was going to do that and I haven't done," it's not because they don't want. Now, it could be, but it's not only because they don't want. And maybe they need something else, And I also encourage that person to go for education. The more they know about their brains, the better they will be to find solutions.
So that's also a good idea. So the coach themselves should educate themselves about
It's bad.
what they're working with, but also the person, right? Yeah. It's also the first tip that a coach could give. Like, how much do you actually know about yourself apart from let's explore how you function. Let's explore maybe and of course that support system that you mentioned. Like, how are we going to create a support system for you? Those are some really good ways to explore with your client. Sounds
Yeah.
brilliant. Thank you so much, Andrea. I've learned so much from you today. It's been a blast talking to you. I would like to make sure that people who would like to reach out to you, who maybe need a coach on anything, but also people that have ADHD, is like, oh my God, I do want to talk to Andrea. How would they reach you? Is it by your email or your LinkedIn, or is there something else that you've set up?
So at the moment, I have my LinkedIn up and running. So I will. So it's Andrea Pavin Scott. Maybe we can put in the.
Yeah, we'll put it in
Yeah,
the
we
link and
can
in the
put in the
bio.
link.
Yes.
And you're more than welcome to come and chat and, ask questions. I would be more than happy. I can talk about this topic all day long. So no problem at all. It would be a pleasure.
I didn't realize that I would learn so much today. It's been an absolute blast. What is one question that I didn't ask that you would like to give an answer to, Andrea?
Mm. Oh, man. Remember, I don't have a good memory. Um,
That was a good coaching question.
so, which question? What do you want for your next career phase?
Okay, let's start with that one. I think that's going to open up a whole conversation. But let's see if we can do it. Well, what do you want? What is it that you are going to do, Andrea? You, because it seems that if you are not going to exploit this knowledge that you have in the way you teach it, that would be a waste. What is it
Yeah.
that you're dreaming of, Andrea?
I want to share this knowledge, and I want to put myself available to the world, to contribute to the neurodiverse community. And I don't know yet how that's going to look like, where it's going to be, if it's in a position in a company, if it's working, as a coach, if it's both, could be. But I really want to make sure that people that feel different don't need to feel that they are less. They are as important, good, and precious as anybody else. They just need to know themselves and to find their way, which is only their way. But that's where we coaches are there for.
Yeah, and there is while you were talking today about how and I said it may be a superpower, which of course it's not, because it's not helpful. It's not a happy thing to walk away with. But there was this story about that airplane that crashed into the Hudson River, and that one person was pushing all these people out and making sure that everybody was not bringing their bags, and this older lady, and making sure that everybody was, getting onto the wing so that they could be picked up by the emergency people. And he later explained, like, I have ADHD. I just went into, okay, this needs to happen, solution mode. And I was so focused on getting everybody out that was the only thing that, I was doing, and natural. So it's because people with ADHD, we may think that they're all over the place, but when it's important, they are there. So
Yeah.
it can be handicapping, but it shouldn't be a handicap. And maybe
No.
that's a little bit of the message that I get from today's
Yes.
conversation. Brilliant, brilliant. And yes, Andrea, so we'll figure out. I'll be here to help you if you want to set something up or to connect you to others. And if anyone wants to connect with Andrea about her dreams and about her uh, uh, expertise, I would say, I'll put your LinkedIn in the bio. And if anyone wants to reach out to me about you, that's fine too. So, let's get that ball rolling. But it seems like you're onto something, Andrea.
I feel the same. Thank you.
Looking forward to connecting again, Andrea.